How's it going, guys? Today on the Fallen Sanctum show, we review yet another anime. Today, we review A Bridge to the Starry Skies, or Hoshizora I Kakaru Hashi. Don't dislike the video if I mispronounce that. Please do drop a like on the video. I have a blast watching these animes, reviewing them, writing down notes on my phone and shit. And it's a lot of fun. Honestly, and this anime is a harem romance slice of life anime. It follows the adventures of our main character, Kazuma Honoshi, who's taking care of his little brother in the countryside. Hoshino, my bad, not Honoshi. And so they end up going to school. He goes to the before junior high, and then Kazuma goes to junior high, and so the picture of the girls you guys see is basically the dateable conquest that this romance anime will cover these girls in. There's one more female character, and that's Tsumugi's younger sister, the blonde on the bottom right. Has a younger sister. She's kind of like the news reporter. You can see her. You can see her in some of the in episode 7. She's in the middle. Um, but yeah. Regarding this anime, so yeah, it's Kazuma and his younger brother moved to the countryside. His father knows the landlady at an inn, and that's where they stay. They end up going to school, and they meet this cast of characters while going to school. They meet most of the characters within the first within the first 4 episodes. All the characters have been met, which is kind of nice. Normally, sometimes you save characters to like the end of a show or whatever, and that's not really that cool. At least we get to see. It's only a 12 episode anime. It's a really nice, funny. Funny in a sense. It's not a comedy anime, but it's got its nice, fun moments. Each girl has at least one romantic episode or romantic-ish episode, or very, very funny but like cutesy moments. So we're gonna go ahead and enter the spoiler warnings for the video as I talk about these episodes, my thoughts, and then my overall review on the anime, and what I thought about the ending. All right, so let's hop into it. All right, guys. So, this anime, you start off. It's a typical romance anime. It didn't really seem like a harem until like episode 6 or 7. Episode 8 is when yeah, it's hard to say, but all right. So here we go. The order of which the girls are kind of like, I want to say, conquered in a sense. You have episode 5, where the green headed girl Kodori made a promise to her nephew at the yeah, I think nephew nephew at the hospital, that she would like win this race, because it's part of their sports festival, and that he'd be able to go into the surgery and kick the sickness's ass. So I'm going into a bit of spoiler territory, but I'm not completely explaining what happens. There's a funny moment. There's a funny slash romantic moment between Kazuma and Kodori in episode 5. Then when we move on to episode 9, you guys can already see it in the thumbnail. That's when the one of the two senpais of the show, besides Sumugi, there's Hana, or Hanai, whichever you prefer to say. She essentially leaves her home because she got into an argument with her dad. And basically, Kazuma, being the really nice guy, goes through the entire episode being like a complete gentleman, and funny slash romantic shit happens throughout the day. Throughout the day, the night, and the next day, the next morning, to precise. Not gonna go into exactly what happens, but that's where we get like that romantic checkpoint. For all right, so we've covered Kidori, the character with green hair. We've covered the senpai, the character with pink hair. Now let's go over to Madoka, the one completely on top. The one in the middle is the last character. She's sort of like the main girl of the TV show, and obviously a romance anime ends by the main character getting with the main girl or not getting with the main girl. So, but that was a good ending. So it's pretty much certain that they get together because they kind of had chemistry starting since episode 2. Like episode 1 and episode 2, you saw a lot of chemistry between these characters. Episode 11 is our favorite little archery girl, Ibuki. On the bottom left of the picture, she's been romantically interested in him since they started training for the sports festival, and they've had their share of funny moments. And this is really her episode. Unfortunately for Katori, like it does for the rest of the girls, that she has her romantic episode, but for like it is for all the girls except Yui, the one in the middle. She doesn't really have the best of the endings of the route. So like we get the check mark in the romantic chapter, but it's a sour ending. So like that's as good as it really gets. For that episode. And then we get to the ending. The ending was there's this festival that celebrates a legend in this town about a male god and a goddess getting back together after being separated for like an eternity. And like uh, that's obviously when like the super big spoiler stuff happens. I'm not gonna talk about it. It's a great overall. Like I can't really say much more about episode 12 because super super spoilers all over that episode, and it's fucking hilarious. Um, yeah, like especially the end credits, the end credits of episode 12. Uh, it's fucking like I laughed so fucking hard during this anime series. I even woke my sister up. It was like 4 a.m. when I woke my sister up. She was really not happy. I don't know why I'm always watching anime from like 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. It's a little weird to me too, but hey, like sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And so yeah, going through it again. Overall, in terms of favorite characters, I'm really a big fan of Ibuki because I'll be honest, to me in a romance anime or an anime like the romance slash harem anime, especially the slice of life ones, it isn't always about the I don't want to say like the sexiest girl, because of course like if we're to compare, well, if we take my taste and then we compare, like Madoka and Hanai are definitely on a higher hot scale than Ibuki is. But Ibuki, she's the calm. She's the more calm and well, not calm in a sense. More professional student. She doesn't have problems with classes. She normally passes her classes, and she's part of a school club, which none of the other students are part of, and she's okay. She's the more level-headed. There you go. She's the more level-headed character, and since episode 1, she's had really funny moments with the main character Kazuma. Um, and overall, I'd say currently for this show, she's my favorite girl. Next to Madoka. Madoka just it's funny, like she's got a phobia of men, yet she falls in love with the main character, and it gets to a point in a certain storyline in their storyline where because normally when a man would touch her, she would like throw them like over the shoulder like a fucking ground pound, or throw them into the air, like anime logic, right? But like it gets to a point in the story where she's like, I'm not gonna throw you anymore for basic contact, but if we were to get into extreme contact, then I couldn't guarantee the fact that I wouldn't throw you again. And like, and there's a few there's like honestly the episode titles for for this show, some of them were fucking amazing. Like, it shouldn't taste like cheese, and acorns hurt more than they should. Honestly, those two are. It's not spoilers. It's funny things that happen, and like I said, I was laughing my ass off the entirety for this anime. So let's give it a rating on the three different uh on the three different scales that it should be, right? You know, it's a slice of life genre, a harem genre, and a romance genre, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about slice of life. Now, what is a slice of life? Normally, slice of life is your everyday life. What you do, you go to school. Normally, slice of life and school are so similar that they're basically it's basically one genre. Because if you're like not an adult, you're going to school. You don't not go to school unless the anime is focused on a like on the protagonist who's like a NEET or someone that like a shut-in or someone's like in a virtual world. Like if you're in Japan and you're between I want to say what uh 12 to 17, you're going to school, whether it's junior high, freshman high, high school, or like elementary school or whatever, even you're younger than that. There's gonna be the school arc. Like the school arc is basically the entire point of the story until it gets to summer vacation. Then you fit in the one beach episode. Uh, yeah, there you go. So slice of life normally, well to me anyways, when it's a slice of life anime. There's always one beach episode, and this beach episode has an amazing budget. There's yeah, you remember, guys, harem slash romance animes are often focused on fan service. So when you see close-ups with characters talking, you often see a nice pair of boobs or other things like that. And like there's an emphasis. There's an emphasis on the jiggle jiggle. Like especially during the race. Madoka has probably the most fan servicey part of the episode where they do the catch the bread contest where they hung a piece of bread on each line, right? Because like four runners, so four lines, and you gotta catch the bread. But but Madoka is short, She's like I think she's like 4'10", 4'11". She's really small. She's petite, so to say. And so when she starts jumping, her tits start to go jiggle, 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 and then the guys notice that, and then when she turns around, they start lowering the flag to the point where it gets to her mouth, where she can reach it. And I was dying of laughter, It's like elephant sound effects and everything like that, And the live commentary during the sporting event was fucking hilarious. But yeah, all right. So as a slice of life, they cover Kazuma's new life in Yamabito, and yeah, solid 10 out of 10. It doesn't disrespect any rules of the genre for slice of life. It covers all the daily events. It covers doing stuff with friends. It covers the one repeating day of the week where there's like the deja vu kind of like scenario. So basically, every Sunday he tends to get up super late, and the innkeeper's gonna talk to him about it. And you see this throughout the entire anime. Every time it's Sunday, there's literally that same scene that's recycled. The dialogue is slightly, like very, very, very slightly different. And it's basically 95% identical dialogue. And then at some point he makes a note of it to call it deja vu. So like that's the trope, in slice of life. There's always one day that you feel like you're repeating, but you're repeating in a very different way. Jesus, I'm sorry. So I like slice of life, perfect. Harem. What is a harem? A harem is normally a regular harem is when a bunch of girls like one guy, right? A reverse harem is where a bunch of guys like one girl. Yeah, So, all right. So let's go over Madoka, Kador, Madoka, Ibuki, Yui, Hanai. That's four girls. So that's and they all have their they're all obviously like because in a harem there are two rules, right? There's a bunch of girls like the guy, but the guy's oblivious as fuck. Like you don't say your feelings, you don't confess until the end. You never choose until the end. Like until the end of the anime, you are not allowed to say that you love X girl, you know, and you always act surprised when uh when you talk about your feelings and shit. And so there you go. That, you know, character oblivious as fuck. He's not Ichika levels of oblivious as fuck. For people that don't know, Ichika is the main character of the Infinite Shadow series, and I have never met a protagonist so dense. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. You know, like you've got dense, and then you got jet fuel can't melt these steel beams dense, and that's the Ichika we're talking about. But you know, like regular dense is Kazuma's territory. You know, so it's solid. Like, you know, it's got a 5 out of 5. Like the slice of life genre, it does what it meant, what is meant to be done. And last but not least, we have the romance uh, genre. I don't know exactly what all the genres that these are, that these animes have. But to me, like, okay, if it's a slice of life harem romance anime, it means if there's romance, I expect some lovey dovey stuff. I expect multiple routes. Normally in a harem anime, in a romance, if it's romance and harem, there's multiple paths to love. Like there's multiple different characters that will love a character, and you know, you see the romantic episodes and or the fallout, the confessions and shit to those different characters, right? So definitely as a romance anime, you know, you could feel the lovey dovey between Yui, the main character, and the protagonist Kazuma. Um, from the beginning, and you know, like a girl blushing every time the guy says something unique, you know, kind of scores points in my book. It's cute as fuck. And honestly, there was a fair share of romantic moments in an anime. You know, I'm not expecting it to be like, you know, like any H material where it gets more serious than like the first kiss, or just a basic confession, and then they kiss at the end credits. You know, I've learned to acknowledge that basic romance animes, unless it's like seinen, you know, because seinen is for an older audience. I think old, like, yeah, I want to say seinen is for an older audience. Um, because shonen is like for boys. So seinen is for a more mature audience. So you have seinen and romance. You can expect more than just a kiss and stuff. But this, you know, like this anime was pretty funny. It kept me entertained. Uh, and it had the different paths to love, with its fair share of romantic moments. So um, as always, um, this anime, I'd say, you know, like give it a 15 out of 15 for its 3 scales, but its overall score, I'd have to give it an 8.5. There were a few episodes within the series that I thought were somewhat dull-ish and boring. But that's normal. In a romance anime, there are dull moments where, you know, things are just not progressing. But what I like about this romance anime is at least you see the road to completion for every girl that's romantically involved with the guy. You know, like it's either a yes or a no, and of course, a romance anime ends when the main character chooses a girl and they fall, like, not that they fall in love, but that, like, you know, they become an item to me. If they like, if the quest, if the goal of the anime is that the guy has to choose a girl, and once the guy's chosen a girl, then there's no point in like continuing, right? Because like the whole point was to have a fight between these different women to see who gets the guy, and then the guy chooses the girl in the end. So you know, it's an 8.5. It's a classic good anime. It's short. I hate 12 episode animes. I feel like they're really short. They're really good for this review series, but um, honestly, I just, you know, like I would love to get a little more involved in characters. Like I watched One Piece, let's be honest, and there's no other anime like One Piece where there's like 900 episodes of I think we're at 870 right now or whatever, of like character development, story, world building. But that's, you know, that's a shonen. That's to be expected. If a romance anime lasted that long, like Jesus fucking Christ, it better be putting me on the tip of my toes. I think there are a few 26 episode romance animes that I'll be checking out, and hopefully those don't disappoint. You know, the Clanad was a lot of fun. It was very funny, and it had its very sad moments, but it had its romantic moments and everything. So I feel like a bridge to the starry skies. Hoshizora I Kakaru Hashi is a really great anime to not get into. Like it's not an anime to start watching anime with, but if you like your harem slice of life romance animes, this is definitely one to check out. As always, this video is not brought to you by Crunchyroll, but Crunchyroll is my main way of watching these animes and bringing you guys all these forms of reviews. So if you have already finished the 10 animes you'll find on Netflix, think about giving Crunchyroll a test. If you haven't already, you get a 2-week free trial the first time you sign up on an account. And because we're in quarantine, guys, instead of spreading all that hate and stuff that I keep seeing on social media, just sit back, relax, watch yourself some anime. Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Fallen Sanctum, and I'll be tuning out. Like I said, I'll probably be doing this like once a day. As my video for now, I'm currently working on progress videos for RuneScape, but it's long. So, but these I can do because I watch the anime through the night, and then the morning comes before I go to bed. I make the review, I prep it for upload, and then I go to bed, and then I wake up and press upload, and then bam, c'est fini. I really enjoy the content, making this content, guys, for you, for you guys. My bad, I'm so fucking tired. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. As always, it's been a pleasure. Goodbye.